You're listening to the Breakaway Breakdown podcast, where we bring you interviews with some of the top ropers in the country, news about what's going on in the fastest sport on dirt, training tips for you and your horses, and so much more. I'm your host, Casey Allen. Let's jump in. Hey guys. All right, by the time you hear this episode, we will be in Fort Worth, Texas, covering the Women's Rodeo World Championship. But first, you get to hear from the winners of the Royal Crown in Waco, Texas. I got to sit down with the winners from the event in Waco, and we had a lot of fun. So first off is Meged. Yes, that's right, the 2019 PRCA tie-down roping world champion, Meged. Haven rode 7S Tomahawk to victory in the Royal Crown 6 and Under breakaway, where he was 322.26 points on 3 head. He won $5,100 for himself, $1,428 to the owners of Mr. Plain Stylish, who is 7S Tomahawk's father, and $1,428 to the Breeders RT Stewart Ranch LLC. So congratulations to everybody with connections to that horse. Haven and I had a pretty good time whenever we were sitting around talking in Waco, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. And if you do enjoy this episode, make sure to remember that it's brought to you by our friends over at Equinety. Equinety is one of my favorite supplements, and I cannot wait to tell you more about it at the commercial break. All right, Haven, you had a pretty good day today. So let's talk about the futurity first, because that was probably the biggest win. Breakaway. This is the breakaway breakdown.
I guess I really don't want to talk about my breakaway that much. That probably shouldn't get advertised that I was winning in the breakaway open, but the horses did good today. I had a couple mess ups on my part in the calf open that cost me a lot of money today, but we did all right, I guess. Horses, I was pleased with some of them, and some weren't the best. So it's all part of it, part of hauling young horses to futurity. This was a really strong set of calves for some young horses, but we did what we could.
All right, so yeah, is it weird to be on the Breakaway Breakdown podcast and like me forcing you to talk about breakaway?
Yeah, it's really weird. I was hoping I wouldn't even win a breakaway, so I didn't have to talk or do any pictures and stuff. I mean, it was just really good for my horses to get seasoned today. You know, we tie down everywhere and stuff on them young horses, so it was kind of a breath of fresh air for them young horses where they know they don't have to take a hit every time and just get more confidence and stuff out there. So it helped a lot.
Awesome. Well, I won't get you in too much trouble with Shelby talking about any rivalries that went down today. But let's just talk about, because I think a lot of breakaway ropers don't understand probably, or a little confused when we start talking about points instead of times. So can you just break it down, kind of the point system, the scoring with the judges, and what they're looking for out there?
You know, most of the judges were looking like how the horses stood in the box. They kind of make some points right there, and then if they're flat across the line, broke to the pin or not, and then how they were running to the cows, like if they were actually low-headed, paying attention, or if they were hitting the tie-down and not stopping. Big stop, obviously, is a lot of points and stuff, and it went back to your time. So you had to dang sure make a good run, and your horse had to be good. But some of the calves were a little stronger, and, you know, them horses that got to go faster, they dang sure plussed them up pretty good because they big stops and stuff. So it was the points deal was it's a little tricky, you know. You don't know, they don't have really a rule book, so you don't know how they're doing everything. But these judges were really consistent about their scoring and stuff. So it was a really, really good deal today.
So yeah, I was talking to some guys yesterday, and I didn't realize that they take your total number of possible points, and then they deduct the time from that, and then add the remaining points onto your score. So I'm not sure the exact number, but I want to say it's 25 or 30. And then if you're a 2-second run, they deduct 2 and you get those points added. And if you're a barrier, a 12-second run, then they would deduct those points off. So I always thought that was really fascinating. So the time does factor in, but like you said, there's so many other factors. So what do you ride differently at these deals when you're not just trying to get the fastest time on the board? You can talk about tie down if it makes you more comfortable.
No, for sure. I guess in the calf rope, and we're showing our horses, but the time is a big factor, so you're trying to make a good run still. So, but you're dang sure trying to set your horse up and get a good showy stop. The rodeos, you're trying to go fast at the rodeos and trying to make good runs. So here you were trying to show your horse a little bit, but still go out and make a good showy run, but fast run, because if you weren't fast, it dang sure does hurt you on your points and stuff. So same deal in the breakaway. Obviously you make a fast run, but it's you're not trying to jerk the calf down and tie them up, so it's a lot easier to make a showier run in the breakaway and stuff like that. So I guess it all depends how your horse does and what the judges thinks and how you clock.
Awesome. So do you think that because you're more used to riding tie-down horses and kind of setting up the stop a little bit differently and paying attention, how you're jerking the calf down or whatnot, do you think that gives you a little bit of a leg up in the breakaway in the kind of scoring situation because you're already used to making it kind of pretty with that big stop?
Yeah, breakaway ropers have it a lot easier than us calf ropers because, if you're running off calf, a horse is going to hit their belly, but then here comes a hit farther behind, but I feel like the breakaway roping honestly is a lot easier to show a horse because you don't have the young horses, you can stay on them. In the calf roping, you're having to step off and they're bouncing around. Hopefully they're not bouncing around. Hopefully they're stopping good. But it's a lot on a young horse when you're running and stuff. But it does after a while. If you tie down on them calf horses that are young and stuff, they're getting under them and starting protecting themselves more and more. That way that they're not taking bad hits, and then they start really showing good.
So just to clarify, so we don't get Haven in trouble with anybody, I don't want the breakaway ropers to come burn his place down. He's saying that it's easier to make a horse look good in the breakaway, not that breakaway roping's easier.
I think breakaway roping's easier.
Oh, man. All right, guys, I can't save him now. Hey, guys, so this episode is brought to you by the great folks over at Equinety. Equinety is one of my favorite companies, and I use the products for my breakaway horses. Equinety Horse XL is 100% pure amino acid supplement. There's nothing added that your horse doesn't need. It can help improve their muscles. It can help them recover faster after workouts. It helps improve collagen so your horse can have healthier coat and bones. And it maximizes your performance because it helps cells regenerate at a faster rate. That means fast recovery for those fast twitch muscles that you need to explode out of the box and stop hard at the end of a run. They also have Equinety Ultimate OEC, and I love this supplement. I didn't think Equinety could get any better until I started using it. It has flaxseed-based omega-3 oil, natural vitamin E, and colloidal silver. It can help support your horse's cardiovascular health, their joint health, gastric health, and it increases their immune support. So if you're traveling up and down the road a lot, that's something that's super important for your horse. Visit teamequinety.com to learn more about these supplements and see how you can get some for yourself.
No, this is probably the biggest day I've ever had, as far as just constant runs, riding 5 or 6 horses and a couple of different ropings. I tied 35 calves down, and I think I breakaway 30.
Jeez.
That's 65 runs behind the barrier today. This was probably the biggest day I've ever, it was a marathon, I would say, but it's good having both of us there and stuff. Just because we both see different things. We have 2 polar opposite roping styles, but we kind of ride the same way. But it's a good deal because both our horses always see different stuff.
Oh, there's Shelby. She's looking through the window at us. Yeah, what were we talking about before Shelby distracted us?
About her, pretty much. About roping together and stuff.
Oh, okay. We'll get back on track with that. Anyway, so how many different horses did you ride today between tie down and breakaway? Do you remember?
I rode 7 different horses today.
Wow. Yeah, and just for context, you guys, it is 94 outside, I think, here in Waco.
And humid.
Yeah, and humid, and there's no air conditioning in the arena, and there's just really no air movement down there, so it's been just everybody's pouring sweat. It's been a really fun day, I'm sure, to tie a bunch of calves.
It's terrible. I thought it was so hot. I was played out.
Yeah. Well, you didn't look it in there, so that's what's important. So talk about, do you rope a little bit differently in the breakaway versus the tie down at these deals, or you can even just speak to anything stylistically that you think breakaway ropers can do differently than tie-down ropers? Because I've always been curious about that.
I really didn't try to do anything different. I tried to get a swing over every calf's back and just let my horse get going the same speed and set everything up. I just tried to set everything up because I really didn't even care if I won in the breakaway today. I was just trying to give my horse good, confident runs because that's a lot on a 5, 6, 4, whatever age they are. That's a lot of runs of strong calves today just in the tie down. That's 6 runs back to back, bang, bang. And then so I just come back in the breakaway. I literally didn't care if I won. I just wanted to literally season my horse and just let him know it's okay. We're not stopping every time and taking a jerk. So I was more in it for that, for confidence for my horses today. But I guess I ended up doing good.
Yeah, I think that worked out well, and I think it's a lot of fun to watch you guys, when you're not just trying to blow out of the box, be super fast, and you get to see some really pretty, fun to watch runs made.
Yep.
So talk to me about the horse that you won the breakaway 6 and under Royal Crown on. Breeding, your story with that one, etc.
He's a Mr. Plain Stylish. I couldn't tell you his mom. The Stewart Ranch bred him. He's been a really good horse. He's taken a lot of work. I think he's going to be something I haul this summer. He's going for sure this summer. So this is just a really good deal to bring him, like I said, in the tie down, get to ride him. But then I could come back on the breakaway today. I thought that was like a win for me today. He was okay in the tie down, had some fluke things happen, cost me a lot of money winning and stuff, but he did good in the breakaway and just pretty much was good to finish out the day and have good confidence. He went out on a high note and stuff, so I was glad that I was able to achieve that and stuff. But he's an unbelievable talented horse, and I've got big plans for him as a 6-year-old, and hopefully in the next 2 years you'll see him with the bright lights.
Awesome. So what year is he? How old is he?
He's a 6-year-old.
6-year-old, awesome. And then have you ridden any other horses by that sire, or is this your first one?
This is my first one I've ever rode out of them, so I've never rode any. He's an old stud, Mr. Plain Stylish is. I think he's dead actually. But if they were all as good as him, I'd have a whole trailer load of them.
Mm-hmm. So did you do all the training on him, or was he started when you guys got him?
He was started, and then he wasn't started much. He probably had 10 calves tied down on him and stuff. But honestly, he was really, really green, and we've babied him for a year and a half. A year and a half now, and just taking a lot of work, slow stuff, because we knew how talented the horse was. Is just bringing him up, and I wanted to actually show him in the head in here, but it was too close to be able to show him in both events. That's a lot of runs on a young horse in 2 days, so I really wanted to do it, but for him, he doesn't need to prove anything to me. He's a freak, and I don't want to blow him up before the summer.
Yeah, and how important is that to you guys, riding 6 and under for charity horses in the tie down? That I feel like can be dangerous on you guys if it's not done correctly, and it can be really hard on the horses. So how do you preserve them and keep them working?
After this, we're going to have to go back home and run some slower calves and score and just slow them down, because this blew their skirts up today. The calves were strong, had to see a start, you couldn't rock behind them. So, you were asking your life for a young horse today, and dang sure the holes come out in them if they weren't prepared. So it was dang sure hard, but I think it was good for, the Royal Crown is trying to make it where it's more of not a horse show, not the political side of stuff. It's more just you go make a good run and have a real horse, you're going to win, and I appreciate that stuff, because I don't horse show because it's too political for me. I don't have the name that's going to be a world champion horse show or whatever it is, but it's nice to come to these ropings and just rope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you get the chance at that big money. What was the payout like in the breakaway today? I know it was 15,000 added.
Yeah, I think I won 5,100 in the 6 and under.
It's a pretty good day.
it was a heck of a day for me riding that horse.
Mm-hmm. So there always seems to be the controversy in the breakaway of horses that punch on their front end versus drag their butts and slide. And I noticed that, your horses slide, they're tie-down horses, and Shelby's horses also really seem to keep on their hind end and slide. So what's kind of your philosophy in the breakaway roping, or your opinion on how you would prefer them to stop in the breakaway?
I dang sure like my horse to slide. I don't want them punching and stuff, because it pops the rope, but I feel like a horse that's going to run in there and drag its butt, I feel like it's going to do the same dang thing. But for me, I like to ride a freer calf horse, so that's a big deal for me when they're sliding and not just punching and killing it off.
Okay, and then if you had to give one piece of advice to breakaway ropers for how they can ride through their stops and still get their rope to pop off fast, but keep their horse's butt underneath them. Why are you grinning?
I don't know.
I feel like I'm going to get you in trouble today.
Sawyer Gilbert won the world last year, and she don't give a dang shit about anything. She runs in there and ropes and pulls on them, and they can duck out of the arena, and she'll wax your butt every time. So, I mean, you don't got to listen to me because I don't got no advice. I mean, you just got to stop the damn clock.
Okay. Oh, shoot. Well, there it is. Just honest. I like that. Whatever it takes. You know, they don't write pretty on the paycheck unless you're at the horse shows.
Yeah. I mean, if you got to turn old paint around, you do whatever you got to do because, I mean, she's a gunslinger. And, I mean, there's a lot of girls that rope good and stuff, but, I mean, whatever stops the clock.
Okay. And then just one question I ask everybody that comes on here, and then I will let you go home.
Okay.
What would you say is the best piece of advice you've ever been given? Roping, life, it can be anything, any genre.
Probably the best advice that I've like heard from people and stuff is pretty much never accept to be mediocre. You know, is some. I mean, Shelby hates that. I have a thyroid issue and I'm overactive. I'll just go all day. I mean, I don't care to sleep. And the thing is, I don't like to just be half-assed. I want to be the best there is. And I work. I don't care if I have a gold buckle right now. I want to work, and I want to have 10 gold buckles. You know, I want to have as many as I can, as long as my body can take. You know, so it's the biggest thing is just working hard every single day. And I feel like if I don't work that day, I wasted. You know, I got set back. Somebody else is outworking me. So that's the thing that I just, you know, you're never going to get anywhere if you don't work your butt off. And you know, hard work will beat talent any day. You know, so that's the thing that I've always kept close to myself is just work hard and try to outwork everybody because it'll pay off in the end.
Awesome. Well, great job. Good recovery from the stopping question. All right, Haven, you have a good day and drive home safe.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Bryana Lehrmann. I am such a fan of hers because she's a great all-around cowgirl and just so sweet. She rode Cruz Bay to the championship in the Royal Crown 8 and Under breakaway. Cruz Bay is a 2016 gelding by Kit Kat Sugar out of Shorty Lena Chick. She earned $3,750 for herself after being 324.64 points on 3 head. And then $1,125 for the stallion owners, so Kit Kat Sugar's owners, and $1,125 to the breeders of Cruz Bay. I think you guys are really going to enjoy Bryana, so I won't make you wait any longer. Let's jump right in.
So Justin Moss and Sonny Owen purchased him from a cutting reject program. I believe Hillary Hightower found him. And so they'd owned him about a week, and then I happened to rope at Justin Moss's house pretty much weekly whenever I'm not gone rodeoing. And so I saw him in the arena just, I think, chasing another mare. And I was like, oh, what is that horse? He's so cute. And he was like, oh, it's just a horse we got to train. And I was like, well, I want him. Can I buy him? Because he was just so cute. I hadn't seen him get roped on or anything like that. I just saw him in the pasture and thought he was just adorable, and so I ended up buying him, which was in some eyes would probably be really stupid, but thankfully it worked out. And so he had about 5 or 6 months of training with Justin Moss, and then I started hauling him his 5-year-old year probably around August, and he went to his first rodeo, Brenham, Texas, which was, there's Ferris wheel, it's pretty loud, probably September I think last year. And so he's taken to training and hauling really well, and he's stepped up for sure. Yeah, he looked great out there. So do you think having like Justin starting him as a tie down roper helped him out like in the scoring here with the stops and everything? He does know the tie down. Oh, okay. But Justin kind of trains all my horses. I like roping behind Justin, so I like riding behind him, so that's my go-to.
Okay. So like when you find that style that sticks. It just works.
Yeah, and he knows what I like. He knows I like to hang over their neck and for them to be able to take kicking in the flank. So he knows what I like.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's okay because it's scored off the horse, not what you're doing. You just gotta get it on.
Thankfully.
Okay, so tell me about his papers. Have you ridden any of his siblings or anything?
I haven't. So he's by Kit Kat Sugar and then out of Shorty Lena Chick. So I have ridden some Shorty Lenas. Actually, some of my favorite horses have been Shorty Lenas. But so no, I've never ridden the Kit Kat Sugar. But so he's really nice, and I actually messaged the owners of Kit Kat Sugar about 2 or 3 weeks ago and said, hey, if you guys ever want to put Kit Kat Sugar in any more incentives, the Royal Crown would be a good place to go, maybe look into it sometime. And they replied, hey, we're actually already in the process of that, so that should be a done deal pretty soon. And I was like, oh, well, this event's in 3 weeks, so if you could get it done before then, that would be awesome. So they happened to get that done, and we were able to enter here, so I was super happy about that.
Yeah, and just talk about, why the Royal Crown's awesome, because I've been watching it all week, and this is a really cool event to watch in person.
I was actually really worried coming to my first ever judged event. I wasn't really sure how it would work and, how it would be scored, and so I was surprised that it was actually not too bad. And Skittles makes it pretty easy. He makes it look pretty good. But yeah, I think it's really cool for the sport, and I'm really thankful that Royal Crown did that for us ropers and not just the barrel racers.
Yeah. And that's nice too, have you ever looked into the bonus where you can, if you get in the, top 10 in the aggregate, team roping, breakaway, and barrel racing, you can get like a $50,000 bonus?
Doesn't it have to be on the same horse, though?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really.
You haven't crossed any of yours
over? I don't
over?
like to run barrels on cow horses,
okay.
So I like to keep that differentiated.
No, that's interesting.
I do like Woody B. Tufts on the barrels, but maybe I would try that. But I also don't really team rope, so.
Oh, that makes sense.
I like to I have a lot going on all the time, so I kind of like to stay in my own lane.
Well, let's get into that. Tell me more about yourself. What do you do? What's your background? Because you're kind of a BA.
Thank you. So I graduated last May from Texas A&M, and I am now getting a master's in accounting. So I'm headed to the college finals in about a month. And
yay,
Made
congrats.
it, thank you. I made it in the barrels and the breakaway. Mm-hmm. I've made it in the past in the breakaway. I ended up 3rd in the nation in 2019, and then I made it last year in the barrels. I was just a little bit out of making the short go. And so I'm really excited to be going in both events the same year. And then, so I'm doing a lot. This is my rookie year in the WPRA, and so I wanted to wait until I graduated from A&M to do that, because it's really hard to travel while you're having to attend class and take tests.
Was your undergrad in accounting too?
No, thankfully it wasn't.
I was like, that's a tough one.
No, yeah, it was at ag business, and now I'm doing a master's in accounting at Texas A&M Commerce, and so it's all online, and that's so nice. And the rodeo coach there is probably one of my favorites, so
awesome.
I'm really enjoying it. Yeah,
awesome.
And so I'm trying to go for my rookie year in the breakaway. I was attempting to do that in the barrels, but it hasn't been really going my way. All my horses are pretty young. They have 3 really nice ones. 2 were fraternity horses last year, and so they're kind of just getting seasoned to rodeos. And we went out to California last month, and probably my most solid one in any pen, just go out there and make a good run. She tweaked a tendon, so she's out, and so I'm not really wanting to hurt any more of my horses, so I'm kind of just putting that on hold and gonna just go where I can, where's best for them, and maybe worry about it next year. But yeah, so I'm trying to go really hard in the breakaway this year.
Okay. Is Skittles the one that you rode at the Resistol rookie roundup? You were up there?
Yeah. We didn't have any luck there.
But I mean, that's an intimidating environment for a young horse. Like, how has he handled the rodeo scene in general?
He's handled it so well. So I started out the year on my good mare Lizzie, and she had some tendon issues come up. So she had to get tendon surgery, and then Skittles had to step up to the plate, and he has handled it so well. He went to Rodeo Houston. He handled that like a pro. I've been so proud of him with how he's handled everything.
Yeah, He just seems like such a sweetheart back
is.
there.
Yeah.
He was like nuzzling up yesterday, and then he looked so tired at the end.
He was so
like,
hot. He was so hot.
Yeah, that was brutal. Haven and I talked about that a little bit because he was just worn out yesterday. I mean, it was 90-something degrees. Everybody's sweating their butts off. No air conditioning.
Yeah, it was horrible.
And we're all just like, we love rodeo.
Yeah, Skittles was drenched in sweat before we ever roped the calf. So, yeah, he was just standing there soaking wet in sweat. So,
and those calves were running. It wasn't just like, it wasn't like a chuck it out of the box scenario.
Before the roping started, I asked one of the judges how many points I'd get deducted if I whipped my horse to the calf, because I was a little worried that I was going to get outrun, because those calves looked like they were running really hard. But I think it was because I was watching the 600 tie down, and it seemed like the breakaway horses were a little bit better with it.
So talk about, we had an electric barrier here yesterday, and I mean, that is timed down to like the 1,000th of a second. How do you handle that versus a rope barrier at the rodeos?
Honestly, I'm more used to a rope barrier, so I was a little thrown off at first yesterday with the electric. I do think it's cool that you can kind of see how far you were off the barrier, or how close you were, and how bad you broke it. That's pretty cool that there's a timer there. I didn't realize...
I kill it, or...
I didn't realize that until... I don't think I ever looked at one of my times, because I didn't realize that until the end. But I do think that's cool, but I think it's a little bit harder to gauge where you are. And, it's a little more chance, because you don't know what exactly is going to start that timer. Is it going to be the calf's toe? Is it going to be, and is it going to be your horse's... You never know what is going to start that timer. And so I think I maybe like a rope barrier a little more, but I think that's just because that's what I'm used to.
Yeah, and you can't push an electric eye.
Yeah, I was not trying to push the barrier. I decided I better just stay off of it a little bit, give those calves a good start. So, because it was hard to gauge, especially whenever some of the horses, don't break as hard, or they break harder on their third calf than their first one. So
yeah,
Skittles has been plenty of places, so I just decided to play it safe.
I noticed you yesterday, you reached on one of them. I can't remember if it was the 8 or the 6. You had a pretty good reach, I feel like. How do you keep power on your loop when you're running that hard, everything's moving that fast? Like, what's your take?
Hard. It's really hard, because in your head you're like, oh, I totally don't think I'm going to catch this calf, but I might as well try. It's really hard. I definitely could be better at it. You're supposed to stay in the same position and just bow your chest out and do the same thing and follow through, but it can be pretty hard. You can want to just push it all too hard, and that's when you mess it up. So
yeah,
it's hard.
It's hard not to like get forward and get up on the neck, like you said, and kind of stick that chest, pull your shoulders, and deliver. Yes,
it's hard to not just try too hard to get there.
All right, and so Justin trained that horse. We got the story on him, and I've got one more piece of I've got one more question before we finish up, because I like to ask everybody, what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given? It can be like any genre, anything.
So my stepdad, Von Veit, he told me one time, he said, set your expectations and goals extremely high, so that even if you fail, you've still accomplished something great. And I think that's pretty accurate, because I'm really hard on myself. I strive for perfection. I strive to do everything: barrels, breakaway, college rodeo, college. I try to do everything all at once, and it can really add up and overwhelm me. And so I have a horse obsession. I have 16 horses, and taking care of those can be really hard. So I have to just remind myself to do what you can and try your hardest, and you're not going to be perfect, and you're not going to accomplish everything you set out to do, but at least you can accomplish what you can.
Awesome. All right, now we're going to get out of this air conditioning. You're going to go kick some butt in the barrel racing, and thank you for taking the time to talk to me this morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right, you guys. Once again, this episode is brought to you by our friends at Equinety. We just love these supplements, and I hope that you guys go to teamequinety.com and check them out. Be sure to stay up on all our coverage from the Women's Rodeo World Championship when this podcast airs. And after that, look out, because the summer run is approaching on the Pro Rodeo Trail. I'll be back in a few weeks. Thanks again, guys. Have a great weekend.